is the cleanest of clean finishers from the best on the planet.
It's time for the biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport. Let's join the team for the biggest show in the world of sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.
Tuesdays on ZiFM Sport is all about the top stories and the top opinions coming in from the top sports punditry team in the nation on the nation's top sports show. And that team is Barry Menandi, Mark Pozzo, Alois Bunjira, producer Sean Tefilinika, and myself, Mike Madoda. It's also Top Hit Tuesday, which means that there's a bit of music for you to enjoy. Our power play at the start of the show and the play of the day, which comes smack bang in the middle of it. But before that, we take a look at what's happening on the home front, where the Warriors have received yet another tough draw as they will play host Cameroon in the opening match of CHAN 2020 after they were drawn in Group A, which features tough opponents Burkina Faso and Mali as well.
In our weekly stable, the Formula One report, proudly brought to you by Zimoko. Lewis Hamilton says he was amused by younger rivals talking up their chances and says he sees it as a sign as weakness as he bids for a 7th World Championship this season.
In Around the World in 60, Proteas batsman Faf du Plessis has announced that he is stepping down from his role as captain of the Proteas Test and T20 teams. In Berlin, gymnast Simone Biles won her 3rd Laureate Sportswoman of the Year award, while Formula One champion Lewis Hamilton and footballer Lionel Messi shared the men's title. And in Abu Dhabi, Kim Clijsters went down to a brave defeat against Spain's Gabine Muguruza in a battle of former world number ones in her first comeback match.
In the beautiful game, we kick off with last night's action in the Premier League, where Chelsea's season has to start now. That's according to manager Frank Lampard, whose side wasted chances and endured VAR frustration as they lost to Manchester United. In the Manchester City saga, a consultant's report written for the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi stated that the Abu Dhabi government, not Etihad Airlines, was covering the sponsorship of the club, which led to the 2-year ban and fine from UEFA that was announced on Friday. That's our special. We'll get to hear the thoughts of the in-studio team as well as some renowned pundits the world over. And then we've got the Champions League, which is back tonight with a round of 16 action where Jurgen Klopp says Liverpool's league form will be irrelevant against Atletico Madrid, and Borussia Dortmund coach Lucien Favre says how his team defends against PSG stars will be the deciding factor in tonight's clash.
The Warriors, the Chevrons, the Cheetahs, the Mighty Warriors, and the Sables. From the pool to the track to the field, we are Team Zimbabwe. The Home Front. Local sports news and analysis.
We kick off on the home front with news of the Warriors, who will play host Cameroon in the opening match of CHAN 2020 finals after they were drawn in Group A, which also features Burkina Faso and Mali. Zimbabwe, who are returning to the competition after missing the previous edition in 2018, were picked from the hat first at last night's draw conducted by Cameroon legends Salomon Olembe and Stephen Tato at the Palais Polyvalent des Sports de Yaoundé Hotel in the Cameroonian capital, Yaoundé. And of course, just to repeat that draw for you, Zimbabwe will be in Group A. Alongside the host Cameroon, will also have Mali as well as Burkina Faso. So we'll be playing one nation from Central Africa, Alois, and of course 2 nations from West Africa. And it's not the easiest group that Zimbabwe could have drawn, but this is CHAN. So sometimes it's important not to confuse the full national sides with the sides that participate in CHAN.
Exactly. It's actually very, very pertinent not to conclude that. But I think what you need to look at is the club sides, participation in the CAF Champions League, in the CAF Cup, the strength of those clubs. Usually those clubs have got the bulk of their players playing for the national team. So you need to look at those clubs that are participating. Look at Cameroon. Which clubs are participating in Cameroon in the CAF competitions? How much are they progressing in the CAF competition? That's when you can.
So it will be a plus for us that Cameroonian club football, to be honest, has not been on a high in recent years. None of their teams have been playing well. Same applies, Barry. If you take a look at Malian clubs as well as Burkinabe clubs as well, they haven't exactly covered themselves in glory. In fact, you take a look at the fortunes of FC Platinum, they're probably comparable to any of the clubs that are featuring in CAF competitions from those two nations.
They certainly are, and we'll draw a lot of inspiration and courage from that. I think all we have to do is get over the hurdle of thinking that this is Cameroon, this is Burkina Faso, this is Mali. We just need to look at the opponent as they stand. I suppose the only difficult game will probably be the first game against Cameroon.
The opening match.
The opening match, there hasn't been much national team football on the continent generally, and in Cameroon specifically. So consequently, you're likely to get a full stadium, and that is one hurdle that we'll have to surpass. If we get past that, the crowd, the atmosphere in that stadium, we should be able to be competitive at the very least.
We want to hear from you on this show. We like to keep it interactive. You can have your say, your way on our WhatsApp platform, 0731 168 045. That number again, 0731 168 045. You can also follow and interact with us on Twitter at ZiFM Sport. Now, pause. Barry talked about the difficulty of playing the hosts in the opening match. That is, of course, Cameroon at what is likely to be a packed stadium. It's important that Zimbabwe doesn't lose that match, isn't it, Pause? You've got to get something out of that match. Otherwise, the second match then means it's a do or die situation in the second match if you've dropped all points in the first.
Yeah, it's always difficult when you're playing the opening game of any tournament, and more importantly when you're playing against the host nation. So it's going to be important for Zimbabwe to come out all guns blazing, as it were, and try and get something out of the game. Obviously, a win will be fantastic, but even if they can walk away from that game with a draw, I think they can take that as a win.
I take that as a win. Alois, this tournament here, it will be the first, one of the first assignments. It's not the first game that Logaricic is going to be involved in, but it's an early assignment for him, and it's a perfect opportunity for him to run his eye over the best talent that the Castle Lager Premier Soccer League has got to offer and see which players can take part in the bigger campaigns as far as AFCON and World Cup qualification are concerned.
Yeah, you're very right, Mike. He is going to start with the World Cup qualifiers, of course, against Algeria, but the AFCON
qualifiers.
The AFCON qualifiers. Yeah. But the CHAN, when it came at the right time for him to actually assess, like you're saying, these boys. And we might look at the group and believe that it's actually a difficult group. I think it's actually a blessing in disguise. We should actually be using this as a developmental tournament where we want to gauge the pedigree of our local players, how they cope at international level.
Your Prince Duves, your Ian Nekatis.
Yes,
this is an opportunity for them. Your Ralph Kawanderas.
Yes, we want to see how they cope against Cameroon. It wouldn't make much sense playing against Osela, Namibia, Lesotho, those smaller nations. We are playing against Cameroon. Now this is a chance for us to actually see how they can cope, so that when they get incorporated into the full senior national team, we actually know exactly that they've got the strength, they've got the stamina, they've got the ability to actually come in and do a job for us. So for me, it's a blessing in disguise that we're in a tough group, so that the tougher it gets, the tougher our players also get, because they are fighting against a tough competition.
Tough is a word that's been repeated by all three of you this evening, Barry. And of course, one of the things that Zdravko Logaricic will be able to gauge is the mental toughness of the locally based players, because this tournament is going to be in a foreign land. This tournament is going to be against nations with perhaps a richer pedigree as far as African football is concerned at the national team level. So it's a perfect opportunity for him to gauge the mental toughness of these players, to see if they will stand the rigors of the tougher battles in the more important qualification battles.
It certainly is a good opportunity, and I'm struggling a little bit here in terms of, especially with that mental toughness that's going to be required on scheduling, because if we look at it, he's playing Algeria back to back, March 23rd, I think it is, round about those dates, and then back to back a couple of days later he plays Algeria. Chan starts about a week after that. So in terms of camping, he's obviously got to now start picking his squad and get maybe 10 days with him before he even gets the full international Warriors into camp, so that he can run the eye over them. So scheduling is a bit of a problem, especially if you say they're going to have to be toughened mentally.
Okay, we'll get to hear, of course, on this very station, ZiFM Stereo, from the head coach of the Warriors, Zdravko Logarusic. He's going to be speaking to Larry Quirirai on the platform later this evening at 7:30. So stay tuned to ZiFM Stereo, and you get to hear the lowdown from the new Warriors coach, Zdravko Logarusic, the man that is affectionately known as Loga. This is ZiFM Sport on a Tuesday. Nothing but the top stories. And of course, just to run through the full draw: Group A, Cameroon, Burkina Faso, Mali, Zimbabwe. Group B, Niger, Congo, DR Congo, and Libya. So there is a Congo derby. Group C, Morocco, Uganda, Togo, Rwanda. And Group D will see Tanzania, Namibia, Guinea, as well as Zambia in action.
Hi, I'm Warriors coach Zdravko Logarusic, and you are listening to ZiFM Sport.
Sports with a difference.
Right, moving on with the rest of our local sports roundup, we'll go to the triathlon, where young promising triathletes drawn from 6 African countries have been presented with the opportunity to enhance their chances of pursuing qualification for the 2024 Olympic Games, as they're currently taking part in the ongoing ATU Under-19 Harare camp. The camp got underway yesterday with 12 athletes from Tunisia, Egypt, Mauritius, Namibia, South Africa and Zimbabwe being part of the program. Zimbabwe's Pamela Fulton and Rihanna Robertson from South Africa, as head coaches, are leading the athletes through various sessions, including stretch sessions, swim sessions and run drill sessions. To handball, and the national junior handball teams are scheduled to meet in Harare ahead of their departure to Mozambique on Friday for friendly matches in Beira over the weekend, as they take a step further in their build-up to the IHF Trophy Zone 6 in April. The Zimbabwe Handball Federation engaged Mozambique in a move to give the teams some exposure ahead of the regional competition, and the coaches will get to assess the players in a competition situation after holding some periodic camps. Finally, in volleyball, the Zimbabwe Volleyball Association say one of its mandates in 2020 is to uplift beach volleyball and sitting volleyball. ZVA held its annual general meeting in Bubi district over the last weekend, attended by 8 provincial chairpersons and their deputies, to draw up the association's calendar of events. Zimbabweans are generally exposed to the more formal 6-a-side version of volleyball, but beach volleyball and sitting volleyball are growing in popularity both as recreational and competitive sports.
International Sports News Roundup, where the world comes out to play. From sunny Melbourne to the streets of Monaco, the deserts of Bahrain to the jungles of Brazil, get up to speed on the Formula One Report. The Formula One Report is proudly brought to you by Zimoco, the home of F1 brands Mercedes-Benz and Alfa Romeo in Zimbabwe. Zimoco, specialized service for special brands.
Zimoco is the home of the legendary Jeep range of vehicles since 1945. Jeep has been manufacturing the best 4x4 models on the market. The Jeep brand currently produces 5 SUV models to suit each individual. There is the Renegade, the Compass, the Cherokee, the Grand Cherokee, and the Wrangler.
Well, let's start off with the Renegade, which is a subcompact SUV and is perfect for cruising around town in style and safety, or even adventuring off-road. It is the most affordable model in the Jeep range and is available in a 1.4 litre or 2.4 litre petrol engine with either manual or automatic transmission. Now, the all-new 2020 Jeep Campus is a compact SUV, and it has been completely redesigned to mimic a smaller version of the well-known Grand Cherokee. It has a sleek, sporty appearance and is available in a 2.4 litre petrol engine with either manual or automatic transmission. This compact SUV will surprise you with its affordability, coupled with its amazing range of available options. It is a real turner.
Right, the Jeep Cherokee now is a mid-size SUV and features a 2.4 litre petrol engine with automatic transmission. Whether you're looking for luxury, off-road prowess or powerful performance, the Cherokee has something for every adventure and is truly one of a kind. Our most popular model is the famous Jeep Grand Cherokee, and it's the most awarded SUV on the market. The large SUV is available in a 3.6 litre petrol or 3 litre diesel engine with over 70 standard and available safety and security security features. The Grand Cherokee will also keep you and your loved ones out of harm's way. Available in multiple trims, there is a Jeep Grand Cherokee to suit your budget and your lifestyle. Stay tuned for more.
On to our Formula One report proper, where Lewis Hamilton says he was amused by younger rivals talking up their chances and says he sees it as a sign of weakness as he bids for a seventh World Championship this season. Red Bull's Dutch driver Max Verstappen and Ferrari's Charles Leclerc, both 22 years old, are hungry to seize Hamilton's crown, but the reigning champion says he was relaxed.
Yeah, there's definitely chemistry. That's good. It's been a good day. This is always probably the most exciting day, one of the most exciting days of the year, because there's a couple of thousand people working back at the factory, put thousands and thousands of hours into what you see behind me, and all for only two of us to go out and get to drive it. So it's pretty special. It's great to see everyone's hard work come together, and then just to see everyone back at work, everyone back focused and driven and excited for what's up ahead. And then as a driver, it's the best. It's one of the best days to get out in a new car, and that first kind of interaction you have with it, understanding whether or not you like each other or not, and then working out your differences. Last year we still won the championship, and regardless if Ferrari all of a sudden found 3 years of development in 2 days, it couldn't stop us. So we're going into this next period, we're just keeping our heads, Andy and the team are keeping their heads down and focused on trying to bring more performance in the right way, and so we can come in and fight for this championship.
Guys, there's healthy arrogance that I know Bunj loves. He loves sports people who have healthy arrogance and talk themselves up. But then there's a thing called hubris, which goes overboard. And for me, I think that you need to still have a degree of humility. Hamilton at this stage is flirting with hubris, isn't he?
Yeah, but also the fact that he's noticing and he's listening to what his rivals are saying shows me that, listen, you're not to take or believe what he's saying, that his opponents are showing signs of weakness.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a sign of weakness for you to talk up your chances and say, hey, we're going to challenge Lewis Hamilton for the title. We're going for it as Red Bull. We're going for it as Ferrari. We're going to go for it. What does he expect Ferrari and Red Bull to do? Sit there and twiddle their fingers and say, hi guys, we're racing for second. No. They're going to talk up their chances, and mainly because based on the evidence, Barry, that they've seen their cars make quite a few improvements, especially in the second half of last season. I thought that they came to the fore. Ferrari came to the party late, but the Renault engines of Red Bull, they really finished the season strong, and that's what's giving Max Verstappen the confidence, and that's why Max Verstappen recommitted to Red Bull, because all of a sudden I think he's got newfound hope. There was a lot of talk that he could go to Ferrari, he could sign for Ferrari. He committed to Red Bull because he's seeing something there, and that something gives him hope that he can challenge.
Pause, it's not hard. It's hard to speak about those improvements without talking about the straight line speed of the Ferraris towards the second half of the season, and of course, as Mike points out, the Red Bulls, and that's why Max Verstappen earlier this month had the temerity to say Lewis is very good. He is definitely one of the best out there, but he's not God. Maybe God is with him, but he is not God. And as Mike points out, he was listening.
Yeah, look, I think, going back to what Mike was talking about earlier, I still believe Toto Wolff, in the back of his mind, he is still, and he will do what he can to try and sign either Max Verstappen or Charles Leclerc in time.
Okay.
They will drive for Mercedes. One or two of those, one or both of them will eventually drive, I think, for Mercedes.
Because he respects what the work that they're
100%.
doing. And you've got to think to yourself, then Hamilton respects the work that these young drivers are doing. And that's why he's listening and quaking in his boots. So who's panicking? Is it Mercedes? Or is it Red Bull? Or is it Ferrari?
Right, finally, the all-new 2020 Jeep Wrangler is the legendary, highly capable adventuring off-roader. The Wrangler comes in either a 2- or 4-door option with a Rubicon or Sahara trim. The Wrangler is the Jeep brand icon, and it marries style with modern design, making it a standout SUV.
With all the Jeep models Zimoco has to offer, and if you still can't make up your mind on whether to buy a sports car or an SUV, we have just the car for you. The all-new Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT is the one. Gentlemen, this one is for the man's man. This one put hair on your chest.
It's one you would consider?
100%.
Because you're a Mercedes man, but if you had to drive anything other than Mercedes,
it would have to be the SRT, because it is a sports car on stilts.
Okay.
It's powerful.
Give me the specs. Give me what does it for you.
Get this. Powerful 6.4 liter engine.
Wow.
V8 turbocharged. It'll get your adrenaline absolutely pumping. It pumps out 475 brake horsepower. It goes 0 to 60 in 4.4 seconds. Top speed 258 clicks per hour.
Not on our roads.
You're unlikely to hit that, but it's available for you. So I don't need to say anymore. Just come down to our Borrowdale Sam Levy's village today and check out this absolute monster. No. This beast. And don't forget, we're open on Saturday mornings for complimentary coffee and croissants. Pause. So come down.
Did you say croissants?
Croissants, exactly.
Did you say coffee?
I knew that would pique your interest.
Yes, and coffee, pause.
And coffee. So come
More
down.
interested in the croissants.
Come down and experience the legendary Jeep range for yourself.
The Formula One Report is proudly brought to you by Zimoco, the home of F1 brands Mercedes-Benz and Alfa Romeo in Zimbabwe. Zimoco, specialized service for special brands.
ZiFM stereo is untouchable.
Around the world in 60 seconds. International sports news.
We are taking off in Johannesburg, where Faf du Plessis has announced that he's stepping down from his role as captain of the Proteas Test and T20 teams. The 35-year-old has cited a need to take a step back from captaincy in order to help facilitate the emergence of the next generation of leaders within the team under the new stewardship of Quentin de Kock, with a calendar that is jam-packed with international tours both home and away, including the T20 World Cup in Australia this October and November. Du Plessis would like to concentrate on contributing to the team as a batsman and senior player who will offer guidance. Over to Berlin in Germany. Gymnast Simone Biles won her third Laureate Sportswoman of the Year award, while Formula One champion Lewis Hamilton and footballer Lionel Messi shared the men's title. American Biles won 5 gold medals in Stuttgart last year to become the most decorated athlete at the World Championships. Britain Hamilton won his 6th driver's title, and Argentine Leo Messi guided Barcelona to the La Liga crown, his 10th in total. And we touched down in Dubai, where Kim Clijsters went down to a brave defeat against Spain's Gabina Muguruza in a battle of the former world number ones at the WTA Dubai duty-free tennis. And I can tell you, it's not played in the airport. And now Clijsters returned to professional tennis for the first time in 7 years, and the Belgian put on an impressive performance despite going down 6-2, 7-6 to the Australian Open finalist. Clijsters made the announcement that she'll be returning to the court at the end of last year, but a wrist injury ended the hopes of beginning a comeback at last month's first Grand Slam in Melbourne.
Fan Zone. Get in touch with the team and have your say your way.
Operator.
0731168045. That's our number in the studio. We are talking the Warriors. Let us know your thoughts. Logarasic, he's got a big tournament coming hot on the heels of AFCON qualification, back to back against the African champions. My goodness, I can think of easier starts to a coaching career.
It's a tough one.
It's a tough one. Absolutely tough one. But we're talking Chan today. How will he do at Chan? We're playing the opening match again. We played the opening match at AFCON, remember? And we're playing against Cameroon this time.
Okay, let's go to Twitter. Barry Kuzai Shatima, good evening. You say great way to look at the African Chan Championships draw, and usually the opening match usually has a big audience. It'll be time to show what you are made of. Lots of tactical scouting needs to be done though, so that we have a glimpse of what to expect, and that's the importance of scouting, isn't it, Aloy, so that we have an idea of the style of play of the opponents, because we can look at Mali and the Mali that we see at AFCON. That's not the Mali we're going to play. We can look at Cameroon and the Cameroonian players that we see playing in Europe. Those are not the players we're playing.
Yeah, definitely we're not going to be playing the full Cameroon squad, obviously. But we
apparently Cameroon is going to own one player in the full national squad that plays at home.
Yeah. So basically, what we're going to be looking at against Cameroon is to be like the stature of the players. They will be almost like the similar West African. You will know
very
that
athletic,
they will be very athletic and strong players. But the style of play, it might not be the standard of play is not going to be the standard that we see their full national team is playing, because these are local based players. The full national team doesn't have even one local best, but it's actually, like we said before, this is actually good for our local boys to actually go out there and show what they can do on the physical side of things as well. We can gauge that, how do they cope with the rigors of playing in African football against the giant players.
Fadiga on Twitter says the first game helps you to build the momentum and to absorb the pressure. By the time you play the second game, you will be in it. Only if you win, Baz.
Only if you win, exactly. You need that momentum, or else it's like being winded. You're sort of hitting your diaphragm and you lose all your wind. So in truth, we need a draw. We need a positive result. As Norman Mapesa always says, we just need a positive result out of that first game. Douglas Ngonizashi, Saurombe and Kulimani Ulawa, good evening to you. He says, hello, my brothers. I foresee our Warriors progressing all the way to the final in the Chan tournament. You don't tell us why you think that. I guess it's just a gut feeling. Guys, if you say that it all depends on how the clubs in the country are performing in the CAF Champions League, then we might as well hand the trophy to North Africa. Algeria, Egypt, Morocco are absolutely dominant. What say you, Bunch?
It's actually quite a prediction. You know, when you look at the Chan, we might as well go that route and actually look at the North.
Those are the favorites.
They are the favorites.
Make no mistake about it.
Exactly. Make no mistake about it. They are the favorites. And you know what? The good thing is their league is also also in progress. You know, at this moment in time, they are just getting into this tournament when their leagues are just finishing, because they use the European model of the league. So it's an advantage to them, because they are bringing players that are super fit, whereas our players are actually coming from pre-season and we don't even know the criteria that is going to be used by our coaches to select our national team, because our players have been dominant for the past 3-4 months.
The big leagues, the big teams, the big players. The beautiful game on ZiFM Sport. All the rivalry.
Here is Harry Kane for Tottenham. Oh, what a goal! A classic derby goal from Harry Kane. Catch him if you can.
All the stars.
Oh, back heels Liverpool 2 in front. Talk about impudence. Talk about improvisation. Talk about Sadio Mane.
And all the game-changing moments.
And Raheem Sterling rattles it home. And once more, City are in front in a trice.
All the updates from the Premier League on ZiFM Sport.
Chelsea's season has to start now, according to Frank Lampard, whose side wasted chances and endured VAR frustration as they lost 2-0 at home to Manchester United. Goals from Anthony Martial and Harry Maguire saw Chelsea's winless run in the Premier League extended to 4 games. Chelsea hold just at 1 point advantage in 4th ahead of Tottenham, while 7th place United are within 3. Let's hear from the winning manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who says he is delighted with the win.
Well, we keep another clean sheet. That's 4 on the bounce now, so we're getting better defensively, and 2 very good goals. Very happy with the goals. I think we were a bit leggy, to be fair, to be honest.
Why leggy after the break?
Sometimes it takes time to blow the cobwebs out, and obviously they had a week off and then we trained for a week, so but the better second half in the legs. I thought first half we looked cumbersome, but well, it's a result.
Yeah, look, it's a good result for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Pause, but you got to think to yourself that the man at the VAR desk was on sleep on duty, because Harry Maguire, lucky to stay on the field after that challenge on Michi Batshuayi. You got to think to yourself, Cesar Azpilicueta's goal should have stood because he was pushed first by Fred. It was not Chelsea's night, and Chelsea needs a night to come very, very soon because they're getting into trouble.
Yeah, and if things don't start going Chelsea's way, it's going to be difficult for them to qualify for the Champions League at the end of the season. Yeah, look, we go through these weeks where VAR is magnificent, and then we go through weeks where it's absolutely diabolical. And I think last night was one of those nights, and it just wasn't with Chelsea last night, and it all favoured United in the end, and they've got the 3 points. I mean, looking at United, it looks like they felt like they won the league last night, but I mean, they just got 3 points, which was 3 important points, which Chelsea could have done with, because Chelsea need to qualify for the Champions League.
3 points, 2 goals, clean sheet at Stamford Bridge. Much to celebrate, eh, Punch?
Yeah, of course. We discussed that was a very important game for Manchester United, a 6-pointer, and it came right for Manchester United. Those were golden 3 points because it closed the gap. Now there is fighting spirit in the team. They know that Champions League football is within their grasp, and they want it. And you can actually tell that they actually want it. Okay, save for the VAR controversial issues and all that. I thought that Manchester United actually did play well. At the end of the day, yes, Chelsea missed a few chances, but deservedly so they won, and 3 points in the bag for Manchester United. I think they were well deserved and very, very golden, like I say.
Is that why your voice is so relaxed today?
It's calm.
There's midweek football tomorrow. Manchester City takes on West Ham in that rescheduled game.
ZiFM stereo is untouchable.
We stay in England, and of course, this time we move to Manchester, and it's that controversy. It's the Manchester City story that broke on Friday. Now, this is a follow-up to that developments that are continuing, of course, to come to light. A consultant's report written for the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi stated that the Abu Dhabi government, not the Etihad Airlines, was covering the sponsorship of Manchester City in 2010, and that's according to a 2015 US aviation industry document. UEFA's financial fair play compliance body, the CFCB, banned Manchester City from the Champions League for 2 seasons on Friday and fined the club €30 million, having concluded the club was not being truthful in its admissions from 2012 to 2016 that Etihad wholly funded its annual $67.5 million sponsorship. Now, former Arsenal boss Arsene Wenger believes big spending Manchester City cost him trophies by plundering players from the Emirates.
I think sport is basically to win by respecting the rules. That's what it is about. We celebrate all the best in every sport, but we want to know that they respect the rules. If there's no respect for the rules, it's not real sport. So that's what I think is the most important. Once you go into a competition, it means you sign that you will go into a competition by respecting the rules. There is an evolution to be made in the way the rules are built up at the moment. But they are what they are, and you have to respect them. And people who don't respect them and are caught by trying to get around the rules in more or less legal ways have to be punished.
Arsene Wenger there, the former Arsenal manager, coming out very strongly and saying that those that break the rules need to be punished. And as far as it's, to be honest, when you look at it at face value, there's a law that's in place. Manchester City flouted that law, and therefore they have to be punished, Barry.
It's quite simple, and I love the way that Arsene Wenger put it. I'm paraphrasing. Sport is about winning matches and winning tournaments within the rules. If you break the rules, you fall foul of it. It's sometimes referred to as cheating. So the rules are there to govern how football clubs are run, and those rules are the financial fair play. Manchester City fell foul of those. They broke the rules, and therefore the censure comes. Whether it's a yellow or a red card, the censure comes.
The censure comes, Alois, and this is a big punishment, and it's unprecedented. 2 seasons out of the Champions League, and we know that teams like Manchester City have been built essentially to compete in that competition and to try and win that competition. Pep Guardiola coming to Man City was not about trying to dominate England. It was about him trying to take Man City up to the next level, and that next level is the Champions League. Do you see this as a just, a fair and fitting punishment?
It's a crushing blow for Manchester City. Obviously, their fans, everybody, especially the sponsors as well, and Pep Guardiola, and the fans in general, in the neutral fan. We have been hearing all stories about Pep Guardiola. This is the one who needs the Champions League, like you have said. And I think the punishment has come heavily. I think it's too heavy, if you ask me, because they're not the first ones to commit fair play. I agree with Barry. If there are rules, then they need to be followed. They flouted the rules. When they were flouting the rules, why wasn't there a red flag when they were doing it, and a warning that, yeah, look, this is what you're doing, watch out. You know, I prefer things like those, not like letting somebody fall into a ditch, then punish them, but you can actually see them walking in and you are not telling them. Tell them that yo, this is where you are right now. You can't be signing any more players because of ABC. I think that's what should have been done. But having said that, I'll come back to your question. I still think that 2-year ban is actually a very big ban. £25 million, yes, but it's much more than that. When you look at how much
there's a knock-on effect.
The pedigree, the just as an institution, Man City as a whole, the players that they're going to sign again, will they attract those good players as well when they've got a 2-year ban?
Now, Alois paused talking about the knock-on effect. It's 30 million in name, but it's been calculated that they will lose upwards of £200 million in terms of revenue if they are to stay out of the Champions League. There's also the issue that they will lose certain players, certain marquee players will lose, like what happened to Juventus when they hit their troubles. Players like Ibrahimovic left and went to play at clubs that were fitting of their ambition. And there's in a sense that players like Kevin De Bruyne, who have ambitions and want to play at the very top in world football, may consider leaving Man City as a result of this ban because they won't be able to play Champions League football.
Yeah, I think that is the main issue here. Going back to what you're all saying, look, Barry's correct. You know what? There's rules, and you've got to abide by the rules. City haven't abided by the rules; they've broken them. 2-year ban, I think, is tough. I really think it's hard.
Heavy.
It's heavy. It's heavy. Look, I think that they should get some kind of punishment, but definitely for me, two seasons out of the Champions League. Let me tell you now, you actually don't realise what 2 years is.
Yeah, now, let's look at the other side, guys. And I understand, Barry, you've said that there are rules and there are regulations, and when they are put in place, they must be followed. But let's take a look at this historically, because that's to be short-sighted and say that now. You know, we have seen teams that have come about and teams that have, some have even gone, who have built their legacies and their achievements on the back of cold, hard cash. In fact, a lot of these teams now that are at the very top of Europe, whether they're in England, in Spain, in Italy, in Germany, they've all had unfair financial advantages in years gone by, and that's how they've built their success. Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Manchester United, Liverpool, Arsenal, they've enjoyed that privilege for so many years. Silvio Berlusconi's AC Milan, they were buying the best players because there was no one to limit who they could buy. Chelsea bought 30 players in 3 seasons, Alois.
Yes.
When Roman Abramovich spent $2 billion in 10 years. £2 billion, eh?
Yeah.
Not even US dollars. £2 billion, right? Yeah. So there are teams that have found this success as a result of unlimited spending, and then this law comes up about as a result. And that's why Gary Neville now, who we're going to hear from next, you know, he speaks and he says that Man City's ban should be overturned because to grow organically like people are saying that Man City should do and catch up with the rest of the big boys is simply impossible.
The idea that Manchester City are not able to invest the money of the ownership, I disagree with. I've always felt FFP is the wrong way to apply the financial rules. My hometown club, Bury, went bust last year, which obviously a club that's very close to my heart, and I think FFP was brought in to stop clubs essentially going bust. However, there are different ways of achieving that. In all other forms of business, there are bank guarantees, there are bonds, there are owners' pledges. You know, ultimately, if owners sign up to contracts or allow contracts to sign under their ownership, then they should have the money in place to be able to fulfil those contracts. I think Manchester City's owners have got that. I think if you look at what Chelsea, Manchester City, Leicester, Blackburn going back 20 odd years under Jack Walker, we would never see the emergence of these clubs, if you like, below what would be the Manchester United, Liverpool's, Arsenal's, who have got all the sort of history, the revenue, the tradition to be able to compete under FFP. What we're saying is that FFP stifles investment into football clubs that can stimulate communities like Blackburn, like other clubs. I obviously am an owner at Salford. You know, we would never be able to do what we're doing if we weren't allowed to invest into our club. And we're saying that essentially we should create a status quo in football, almost like a franchise. And I think the top clubs in Europe, probably like Manchester United, Bayern Munich, Barcelona, Real Madrid, they would take football towards a franchise-type model if we didn't have the emergence of clubs who could invest and owners who could invest in other clubs. There are negatives with that, and there have been some horror stories of where owners essentially have invested into clubs and then they've not followed through with their commitments. That's got to be stopped. But there are other ways of stopping that without applying FFP. So I have a real problem with FFP to start with. I have done, to be fair, for 7 or 8 years. I don't think it's the right way to apply it. I think City will beat UEFA. I think UEFA, I've got no faith in them whatsoever. I think essentially they're a hopeless organisation who will just apply, to be fair, what would be erratic disciplinary sanctions for different things. And I think City will beat them in the courts. I think it'll get stuck in the courts for some time, but I think City will win in the end.
Gary Neville says City will win in the end. And the reason why I also back him is because this is an unjust law.
It is unjust, but it's the law that we have, and the laws must be respected. They didn't creep up on people. And you talk about there's the aristocracy.
Why was it put in
football.
place?
Hold on. There's the aristocracy of European football. How many career goals did Pele score? He scored nearly 1,000, over 1,000 goals. He scored those when the offside rule was very different to what it is now. Doesn't mean that the offside rule didn't need to be changed. It was changed.
That's why we generally acknowledge that Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi are superior players.
But when we look at the stats, who has the most career goals? We look at Pele, and that's going to be and subsist for a very long time. Those clubs took advantage of a law that didn't exist at the time.
But those are the clubs, Barry.
Now.
UEFA is made up of clubs.
Agreed.
Those are the clubs that are pushing this agenda.
Yeah,
and you think they're doing it because they're saying, oh, you know what, Man City, you just might become broke in the future, and we are concerned about your finances.
And the smaller clubs has an opportunity to weigh in on the matter. And this thing was passed. Why was it passed? Then vote to
The small clubs don't have the power,
The
Barry.
small
They
clubs
don't have power.
By sheer weight
I
of
doubt
numbers.
Wolves is invited to the decision-making table.
Small clubs are small.
Time is the enemy.
What I want to say, they are being taken to court, and this is how rules can change. You remember the Bosman ruling?
Agreed.
And I'm happy that Man City are taking them to court,
and they're going to fight.
And I hope that they're going to fight, and this rule is going to be wiped away.
There's going to be blood in Brussels. Because there's Champions League football today, isn't it?
Right, there is Champions League football tonight, and Jurgen Klopp says Liverpool's league form will be irrelevant as his side prepare to restart their Champions League defence with a last 16 counter against Atletico Madrid tonight. The Reds head into tonight's encounter unbeaten in the Premier League and a staggering 25 points ahead of second place City. In contrast, their La Liga rivals have had an indifferent season and are currently fourth in the Spanish top flight, 13 points behind leaders Real Madrid. Big night for Liverpool, guys.
Yeah, big night. Difficult venue to go and play at, the Wanda Metropolitano versus Atletico, but Atletico is not having the best of seasons. So if Liverpool play the way that they've been playing this season, I fancy Liverpool to score maybe 1 or 2 goals.
Away
goal. And I'm surprised you didn't jump onto, I wonder what's going to happen at the Wanda Metropolitano.
Now, there we go. Now there we see the cheese is rubbing on. Cheese. Let me just read this message, Barry, because you know you of course you stood by yourself and with half of pause in the studio. Tanats Wandaba has got in touch and he says. As much as we don't agree with the rules, they are there. Follow them or face the music. Thank you,
agree.
Barry.
Yeah,
we agree.
That's it.
But we are saying that the law is unjust.
The law needs to be amended. It can't
so you
be
agree
repealed.
with us there?
It needs to be amended, not repealed. It can't be repealed.
One other game tonight in the Champions League. It is Borussia Dortmund taking on PSG. So 2 games tonight. We'll obviously wrap those up tomorrow.
All right, we gotta go. We'll finish this in the car park. May God richly bless you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to Manande out.